Have you ever checked your bank account and felt confused more than anything else? Not shocked, not reckless, just confused. You work. You try to be responsible. You don't live extravagantly, and yet somehow the money still disappears faster than it should. Rent takes a bigger bite. Food costs more than you remember. Transport, data, small emergencies, they all stack up quietly. And at some point, a thought creeps in. Maybe I just spend too much. Maybe I'm bad with money. That thought sticks. And the longer it sticks, the heavier it feels. But what if the problem isn't that you spend too much? What if the real issue is that you're earning inside a system that no longer makes sense? Most conversations about money start in the wrong place. They start with spending, with discipline, with budgeting harder, with cutting things out, and sure, spending matters, awareness matters, but focusing only on spending creates a quiet kind of guilt. It makes people feel like every coffee, every meal, every small comfort is a personal failure. What we rarely stop to question is the environment those decisions are happening in. Because the truth is, many people today aren't overspending in an extreme way. They're just trying to live a normal life in an economy where the definition of normal has become incredibly expensive. The rules changed slowly, so slowly that it feels like you missed something, like everyone else figured it out and you didn't. But you didn't miss anything. The system shifted incomes, costs, expectations, and most people were never given time to adjust. Let's talk about cost of living versus income, without buzzwords, without charts, without pretending this is abstract. Think about your monthly expenses, not luxuries, just life, housing, food, transportation, utilities, data or internet, occasional family support, maybe healthcare, maybe debt. Now think about your income, your actual take home pay, not the number that sounds good on paper. For a lot of people, these two lines used to move together. Not perfectly, but together. When income rose, life felt easier. When prices rose, wages eventually followed. That relationship is broken now. Costs move quickly, income moves slowly, and expectations from family, society, even yourself move faster than both. And that's where the pressure begins. That mismatch creates constant pressure. And when pressure lasts long enough, people internalize it. They stop saying, "This is hard," and start saying, "I'm bad at this." Here's the shift that changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why can't I manage my money better?" A more useful question is, "What is the system asking me to survive on?" That question doesn't remove responsibility, it reframes it. Because once you see that the environment is tight, you stop blaming yourself for needing air. You stop treating rest, stability, and small comforts as moral failures. You start making different decisions, not desperate ones, strategic ones. You realize that your goal isn't to become perfectly disciplined, it's to increase breathing room. Margin changes psychology. When there's even a little margin, people think longer term. They make calmer decisions. They feel less reactive. They don't need motivation. They need space. This is why income growth matters, but not in the hustle culture way, not grinding endlessly, not chasing every opportunity, but intentionally positioning yourself for leverage, not just effort. Because effort alone doesn't fix a broken equation. So, what do you actually do with this understanding? First, stop measuring your financial health by guilt. If every month feels tight, that's information, not a character flaw. Second, separate survival expenses from lifestyle inflation. Not everything that costs money is indulgence. Some things are simply the price of functioning in modern life. Third, focus less on perfection and more on stability. An emergency fund isn't about wealth, it's about psychological safety. Even a small buffer changes how decisions feel. Fourth, zoom out when thinking about income. Not just how much you earn, but how predictable it is, how flexible it is, how exposed it is to shocks. A stable, slightly lower income can feel better than a higher but unstable one. That's not weakness, that's nervous system math. And finally, give yourself permission to acknowledge reality. You can be financially aware and still admit that the system is heavy right now. That honesty is grounding. If money feels stressful lately, it doesn't mean you're doing everything wrong. It often means you're trying to build a stable life on a foundation that keeps shifting. And that's exhausting. You don't need to punish yourself into progress. You don't need to strip your life down to nothing. You don't need to feel ashamed for wanting stability. Progress in this environment is quiet. It's slow, it's imperfect. Sometimes it looks like holding things together. Sometimes it looks like small adjustments. Sometimes it looks like simply not giving up on yourself. You're not spending too much because you're careless. You're navigating a system that asks more than it admits. And understanding that doesn't make you weaker, it makes you calmer. And clarity over time is where real progress begins.